Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a special commentary podcast episode. It is a weekly film news episode, but we are going to be talking about Obsession. This is going to be an entire episode dedicated to the new film Obsession, which came out last week. It was obviously released in the year of 2026. It is directed by Curry Barker, coming from Focus Features and Blumhouse. The plot of the film is after breaking the mysterious One Wish Willow to win his crush's heart, a hopeless romantic finds himself getting exactly what he asked for, but soon discovers that some desires come at a darker, sinister price. Now, with the whole, is it, I don't want to say hoopla, like, what was it, 1929? Like, the whole, like, talk of how Obsession, I just feel, has dominated the last week and a half in any film related thing. It has completely dominated the entire conversation. And we both thought that, hey, why don't we just do an entire episode talking about Obsession and what we thought about it? Because we have both seen it. So, hello, Tony. Welcome to this discussion about Obsession.
Yeah, my name is Tony Michael, and I'm so sorry Patrick forgot to introduce me, his co-host, but we're covering Obsession.
Mhm.
Yay! We decided to just disrupt our format that we love so dearly, and our listeners are come back to every week for discussing new releases, the trailers, and film news. We decided to cut all of that and decided to talk about Obsession. And
Hmm.
there's gonna be a lot. I feel like just like the film, and I mean, hoopla is a great word. I would describe it as a kind of like a very much surge of interest in
Hmm.
social media and going to the movies and being part of the conversation. It's a surge of wanting to be part of a conversation because there is a conversation here. So you have this area of the internet that is so loud, wanting to be part of this conversation in comments, making shorts. We're going to talk about all of this, but for our listeners and for us, the hosts of the commentary podcast, this is our bag. This is what we do.
Hmm.
This is why in the caption you do see us being a little snarky and being like long form content meets obsession. Let's do this properly. This is the best way to do this. We're very lucky that we have this format. Thank you, Pat, for giving us this format to do this. And also for our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey of talking about films, why we like them, why we don't like them. And it's just going to be a really fun hour of long form content, something that you can put on doing whatever you're doing. You do not have to scroll. You aren't
Hmm.
disrupting any of your brain or your eye, or you know what I mean? You can just
Hmm.
put this on and listen to it, be part of the conversation. I don't think in any episode that looking back, because this is going to attract a different audience for us here on the
Hmm.
commentary podcast. That's not why we're doing it, but we just know the significance behind this film for a lot of people. But what we want to do is our podcast has never been about you have to have the same opinion as us. We love having different opinions here. It's happened a lot. You've rebounded some ideas on me, off of me. I am very selfish and rebound ideas off of you a lot about what I feel about the industry and movies and everything, and you let me do that here, which I appreciate. But yeah, we're talking about Obsession for an entire episode. We've never done this before. This is going to be a really interesting format. And I think just for both Pat and I'm speaking for us both, this is our podcast forming its personality right here. We get to say what happens here. And we are really
Hmm.
excited to talk about a movie for an entire episode. We've been talking about this for a minute, right?
I
Wanting to
think,
do
yeah, we
this.
have. We have, yeah. We've toyed with the idea of kind of doing like alternating weekly news and
Yeah.
film discussion, weekly news, film discussion. And sorry for not introducing you earlier. I think I was just thrown off on the entire like format we're
It's
doing
a
it.
weird format. But no, this is just a place where the more that I'm seeing what's being put out right now is the more thankful that I am for what I'm a
Mm,
part of, A, and B, what I have to offer to not only you, but for our listeners. This is
mm,
a super awesome, safe place to be right now. And I love coming back to it every week. It's just always so fun to hear that someone's enjoyed it. And also just that we are surrounded by people that allow us to continue to find our voice whenever it comes to talking film. So That being said, for our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey. We, of course, aren't putting down film news, but we are picking up this film and replacing it with that format for the week. So, film news will return. We love doing that. We know everybody's super excited about talking about Obsession. So, we just
Mhm.
wanted to give our listeners an opportunity to feel the glow. So, say for example, last week, with the box office doing what it did, amazing, incredible. We're going to talk about some of that. But there's going to be people that haven't seen Obsession this week, and this is going to come on. They're going to want to put it on right after they've watched the movie. So, this is for
Mhm.
them, guys. There's a whole group of people out there that wait a week to watch movies, that wait for the Rotten Tomato scores, that wait for all the hoopla to die down and then go to it.
Hoopla's coming back. Hoopla's coming back. I'm bringing the term back.
But this is an obsession episode, so if you are a fan or weren't not a fan and did not enjoy it as much as everybody else did, this is the place to be for the next hour. So, with that being said, let's just go ahead and rip into the plot. We're going to have different formats here. So, if you are looking for a specific part of what we're talking about, we're going to start talking about the story, the plot. We're going to get into some character analysis, our initial reactions, and we want to also provide that amazing big Hollywood sign up in the hills right now, a little bit of commentary on where things are at with the industry right now. So,
Mhm.
with that being said, take it away, Pat.
Yes, and if you've gotten this far, this will be spoiler filled. So if you haven't seen Obsession and you don't want to listen to any spoilers, we will be talking about the entire movie. Pause it right here if you haven't seen it and go watch it, and then come back and join us.
I am just going to go ahead and assume that the person that is watching this right now has seen it 15
Yeah.
times.
Or maybe they don't care. Maybe they're like, I don't care. I just want to see what the movie's about.
Yeah,
I don't care.
just want to hear some points about it.
I guess we can get into the plot of the film. What'd you think of the plot? I mean, I've read the synopsis earlier, but what'd you think of the overall plot? I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It's in the trailer, and he makes a wish, and immediately she's hooked onto him. When I was gonna watch the movie, I knew it was gonna be like 20 minutes of kind of filler in the beginning, getting the character backgrounds and blah 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 blah. And then obviously he like loves her and everything. And you hit that 20-minute mark is when like you're basically cracking open the next act of the film. And to me, it's a pretty straightforward plot. Like there's nothing like groundbreaking happening in the plot. I think it's probably going to be an overall discussion as the film goes on. But what do you think of like just like the plot overall? Like was it like did anything stand out or is it just kind of just pretty straightforward?
Yeah. So here's your plot. I mean, Bear is a 20 something with a crush on his coworker, Nikki, during a hard time in his life. He develops this intense feelings for Nikki. His grandmother died, and now his cat died. And he purchases this little trinket at a crystal shop, makes a wish, breaks it, and now we are here, arriving at the movie. I thought
Hmm.
that was pretty good. Something old, something new. Definitely, got me intrigued with the trailer. I told Pat this pretty early on, and we've done content over Obsession. This isn't the first time that we've, interacted with this film. And we've
Hmm.
talked about how excited we were for it because of everything that's, on social media. But for me, what it reminded me of with the cinematography, and we'll get more into these things as the episode goes on, with the cinematography, the story, and how the film was portraying itself in marketing, was it was giving like a Gremlins vibe. Definitely felt that old like nostalgia, like this childhood toy thing, like
Hmm.
releasing this cascade of issues in somebody's life. So with the plot there, great. Whenever things start to happen the way that they do for Bear and Nikki inside of this film, inside of Obsession, that's whenever things started to get a little jumbled up inside. I was definitely feeling frustrated about the choices that the characters were making. And then I was
Hmm.
also just very aware of how people were reacting around me in the audience. There was people my age that were laughing, and then there was people younger than me that were absolutely mortified by like this decisions
Hmm.
being made. So to answer your question, the plot, it's there. It just hangs heavy in that first part of it,
Hmm.
and then it starts to kind of slow burn from then on. Of course, we'll talk about the ending and everything near the end of the episode. But yeah, that's basically how I was feeling about it. And I kind of like what you were saying as well. Also, just a kind of preface this whole thing, setting this up. He's not going to like everything that I like. I'm not going to like everything that he likes. This is a discussion. This is not a, is this film good or not kind of thing.
Hmm.
I feel like that's what Curry Barker was doing inside him. He wanted that burning sensation inside of the viewer to be like,
Hmm.
why are we making all these bad decisions? My question for you inside of this plot while we're having this conversation about the plot was I wanted to like sincerely ask you, what would your one wish willow wish be?
That's a tough question. That's a tough question. There's no billionaires. Let's cut them all off. Let's cut all the billionaires off. There's no more
Wait, that's
billionaires.
actually great. So you wish
No more
for their
billionaires.
one wish willow, I wish there were no more
Yeah.
billionaires in the world.
Yeah. No more billionaires in the world.
Interesting. Interesting. It's
Where
not
does all that money
it's
go?
not
They don't have the money anymore. They don't exist.
so your wish isn't about you, it's about, kind of
Spreading the
hopefully
wealth.
benefiting everybody else. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. A lot of employees will be getting lots and lots of
Yeah.
bonuses from your wish.
Hopefully. We'll see. We'll see. I guess it ties into him saying that he wishes he was a billionaire. That was the one friend. And it comes down.
So we're in this fake world, right? We're in this
Mm,
world where wishing for something is possible. I wish for this
mm,
thing, I have this toy in my hand, it's gonna happen. So then we can start getting kind of into some questions that we have for each other, which is inside of the plot. Why do you think that Bear actively chooses to not tell his friends about his wish and obsession? I mean, he does in Act Three, of course, but it takes a while for him to get there.
mm.
Do you think that's tied? Do you think Curry Barker and his co-writer slash creator, his working partner, Coopler Tomlinson, do you think that they had this notion to depict the lead, the guy in the movie, as taking a long ass time to dragging his
Mm.
feet, knowing he's doing all of this stuff to this form of Nikki? Do you think that in the plot they actively choose to not tell his friends about the wish and obsession?
I think he's probably doing it because he got his wish. So he doesn't want to tell his friends, like, oh, like, I did this. Because if he does do that, A, they're not going to believe him. They're going to be like, whatever, dude. That's like a freaking, like, that's not true. And they do that scene later, like, when he says to Ian that, when he does say that and, like, he doesn't believe him at all. So it's like, I feel like if you did do that, like, no matter what, your friends aren't going to believe you. They're going to be like, dude, it's a fucking child thing. Like things like that don't happen in real life, but obviously it did. And I think for a while, he's not going to tell anyone because, oh, the girl that I actually do love loves me now, giving me all the attention. Why would I say anything? He didn't obviously specify the type of love that he wanted to come from that. I don't think he wanted
Yeah,
to be obsessed, obviously, hence the title.
yeah. So I asked you, I'm not sure if you put it down, but I asked you to really think about exactly what Bear wished for whenever he used his one wish Willow, was that
Hmm.
he wished for Nikki Freeman to love me more than anybody else in the world, and he snapped. And of
Hmm.
course, that awoke this newborn entity inside of
Hmm.
Nikki, and she goes in and out of it through the movie, which is
Hmm.
great. That is very original, and that's I
Hmm.
will give Curry Barker and Coopler Tomlinson their flowers for that because that was a really cool element. But what I wanted to bring up to you was that he doesn't really specify that kind of,
That kind of love?
yeah, because
Yeah.
love looks like different things, and
Hmm.
it could have been a platonic love that
Yeah, you could
the
love someone
One
like
Wish
a
Willow.
brother or sister. Like it's like, oh, that's my brother. Like I love him like a brother. I'll call him every day.
I feel like that would have been more painful having this,
Yeah.
this girl
Hmm.
that I have immense feelings for just be like just that tiny bit away.
Hmm.
That would have been really really funny, but of course,
Hmm.
these guys are coming from comedy. They're wanting to we're seeing this a lot. It's happened with Jordan Peele, it's happened with Zach Kreger. This is a very familiar avenue for these guys. It's doing well. It's doing well, and people are taking notice. I guess to wrap up everything about the plot that I had to say about it was I think that there is some room for conversation in the screenplay and in the plot, which initially left me feeling a little bit empty because I wasn't having those conversations. But now that I'm here, now that I'm having them with you, I do see the gaps being filled. The space is being filled, and they're being filled with us in our conversation right now. And either you're into movies like that or you're not. And that's probably going to be where a lot of people feel those gaps and they don't have
Hmm.
anybody to talk about it with. So then they leave the movie being like, it was okay. Do you have
Yeah.
anything else to
No.
say about the plot?
I think a lot of it, like, we're going to get into it obviously as we continue along with this, but I think a lot of the plot relies solely on our performance. And if you don't have
Okay.
that performance, the plot is very like generic. I mean, it's literally just like he just wishes like that you like that's all it is. It's a very basic plot, and
Hmm.
obviously she becomes obsessed with him and doesn't want him to do anything. But I think the movie kind of the more you think about it, or the more, like, I guess that I think about it, is it's kind of relying solely on a performance as opposed to things that are actually happening in the film. I think it's
Hmm.
relying solely on what someone is doing on screen as opposed to what is actually happening on screen, if that makes sense.
It makes sense to me. It's a great point. It's one that I agree with. And I would say that this is going to be a very interesting part of the conversation because you are giving the film its flowers, but you're giving specifically a performance its flowers. And if that
Hmm.
performance wasn't inside of the film, there would be no flowers to be given. I get exactly
Hmm.
what you're saying. Now, the internet, on the other hand, will just hear the first part of what you said and not the second part where you are
Hmm.
giving those flowers still. And that's kind of something that we're going to talk about near the end of this episode. We're going to start shattering these, I call them glass doors because it's like we're opening the door and then there's a glass door right there. We're hitting it right now. It's going to be time that we start hitting these things and start saying how we really, really feel about this stuff happening in the industry right now because we're trying to stop it. Both of
Hmm.
us actively trying to stop it.
We are trying to actively stop it. I guess, like, as we get into like the characters here now, like besides like Nikki and Bear, like the other two characters are very one-dimensional. There's not like much depth there because a lot of those characters, besides Sarah's trying to get into college, which is just like a, well, not college, it's like a, I guess it's like a art school, I guess probably a graduate
Fine
school is what
art
she's kind
school.
of, yeah, what she's trying to do. But like Ian is very much just there to like be the antagonist of what Bear is feeling. Like he's not really doing any other thing besides just being like, "Hey man, I look like a frat guy. Like, let's drink beers at my house tonight." Like the characters outside of the two main characters are pretty like one-dimensional. There's not much depth there. And whenever they're like saying that Bear and, I guess, like Sarah had some sort of romantic, like there may have been, I don't really ever get that until like it's brought up and then they have that one conversation in the car.
Okay, okay. So yeah, let's talk about Sarah and Ian for a minute, right? We can
Hmm.
start first with Ian because I feel like it's just like you said, he kind of has the least amount of personality, kind of contribution
Hmm.
to what's going on inside of this friend group. So Ian kind of sets the tone with his character at the very beginning because of the whole entire opening scene. The opening scene, I know you have some thoughts about it. I'll let you talk about after I let our listeners know about Ian. So Ian kind of lets you know exactly who he is in this opening scene because Bear is rehearsing this very sweet, thoughtful confession of love to Nikki, and then Ian just immediately tells the waitress, okay, we're good. You can go back to work. Like, we don't need you
Hmm.
anymore. And the waitress offers a little bit of insight into like what a girl would maybe want inside of his confession for love. And she thinks it's perfect. She thinks it's sweet. She's really vibing with it. And she's like, anybody would be lucky to like have somebody tell me that. And then Ian's character is like, okay, thank you. You can go ahead. He's
Hmm.
treating women like an object already. That objectification, treating women as a toy or like just something
Hmm.
that you can pick up and put away and be like, hey, I need you for this. All right, thank you. At the very beginning, they may not have even intentionally done that. That might have just been like a bit, but it's there. It's there to pick up for the audience. And that's pretty cool. Now, you had some thoughts about the opening that I thought were interesting if you wanted to share.
I think it ties to the opening, but it's also, I think overall, I think there's parts of the dialogue that feel very nobody talks like this. And I felt it very much in the opening scene. It felt very forced dialogue that didn't feel natural to me. But again, it's a first time like feature length. I guess this is his second feature length film, but it's like more of like he has more of a budget. I guess like more of like producers coming down his back. I don't know, but for
No, no,
me,
it makes
for
sense.
me, like for me, it felt like a lot of the dialogue, and it ties back to what I was saying. Like I think this film relies solely on her performance, and people forget about everything else going on in the movie and how some characters like Ian is very one-dimensional. Like women are just objects, man. I have a backwards hat on. It's cool. Like I'm a fucking frat bro. That's who I am. And you can hide things like that because the performance that is you're watching is just so good. People are oblivious to stuff that's happening on the side. If you didn't have the performance, I think a lot of people would have more problems with what was actually happening on screen script wise with dialogue and how it just seemed very like again, I liked the movie overall. I thought it was pretty solid, but basically what I'm saying is I can tell this guy is still a new filmmaker. Is basically what I'm saying.
I mean, the screenplay stuff is definitely, I mean, understandable for sure. I totally get that there. I will say, and here we go. Here's our first disagreement in how we both took away things from the film. I think Megan Lawless' character, Sarah, is layered. There
Mhm.
is a lot going on there. And she does a couple things with her acting, specifically like with this moody, like friend that is just kind of like observing everything and not saying
Mhm.
anything. And I was kind of surprised before the third act with how she does decide to pull him away and be honest. And yeah, that part of it is kind of like a lead up to just like getting a kill on the
Yeah,
screen and all
the
of
way it's
that.
shot, you could see it's coming. You could see it's
It was
coming.
the whenever I say Megan Lawless's character as Sarah is layered, what I'm talking about is your gripe with the screenplay and the dialogue not being like this is how people talk. I get exactly what you're saying. You're looking for a screenplay that is on the same tier as like Superbad or like Easy A or something like that, right? I
Hmm.
get that. And maybe it's her performance and how she delivers the line, but I feel like Sarah gets a really important part of what's missing in movies right now, especially with this era of like, or with this generation of characters in film, is that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. She has no idea what the
Yeah.
fuck she's doing, and she
Hmm.
is trying to get into school. She can't. She wants those immediate rewards of like getting fucked up or working for money, and that's it. That's those are immediate gratification
Hmm.
things, and that's all we're all doing. And I thought that was pretty okay. Yeah, I have to agree with you that Sarah and Ian, they offer things in a group dynamic, but solo, say with like Bear, it's kind of there. It's in the car for sure. It's there. Everything
Hmm.
else, so so. I
Yeah.
get it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now, do you want to talk about the elephant in the room, or do you want to talk about the queen of the week right now? And possibly, the queen of, I'd say, a good chunk of 2026. We can go either way. We can talk about this asshole, or we can talk about the true victim of obsession.
I guess we can talk about them both at the same time. Man.
I will say this introduction of a character did feel, whenever it comes to movies, we want to be so hyped up for like the character and where they are going. We want to see those good moments so that way whenever we see the bad, it's kind of like, oh fuck, man, like I can't believe
Hmm.
this all this stuff is happening. We're kind of immediately placed in the bad with Bear. I mean, the film starts off with his cat dying. He's lost his grandmother. He's at a low. I'm not sure if that's like the lowest of the low. Now, the lowest of the low looks different for all of us, right? But this guy, I mean, obviously loved his cat, wasn't supposed to get into these pills. He just
Hmm.
lost his grandmother. That's actually how he has that apartment that he's living in. And he's hanging out with his friends and even kind of ducking out on plans. That is one of the top signs that someone is depressed is if they start,
Hmm.
ducking out on plans. Introverts are different. That's like a whole different story. They don't want to do that shit. Don't ask them. Don't make them. They don't want to do it. Bear is avoiding being around people and being around good
Hmm.
energy. And then the only light that we see is from Nikki. And
Hmm.
everything changes. The score changes, which is cool. And he gets excited at the idea. He wants to buy gifts for her. And that's kind of cringe for somebody that you're not like
Hmm.
have a romantic involvement with. It is cringe to want to go get a gift, but he doesn't, and that's how he finds the one wish willow. Let's start there and break down Bear however you want.
Yeah, like obviously Bear's the villain in this film, and it's very obvious that he is the villain. And there's going to be some people that don't realize that, but everything he does to Nikki is from himself. He did everything to her, and that's why she's acting this way, is because of what he did. He made the one wish Willow, and he made that wish to love him and be obsessed with him forever. And she was, and there is a scene in the movie where you can hear the real Nikki come out being like, I'm here. Just like let me go. Like essentially like end this. He even says in that scene, he's like, well, he basically says like, well, would you still like want me if you were still the real Nikki? And like he's still like, even though she's acting so like, I guess quote unquote like insane, even when her in the desperate moments being like, this is actually me, like take me out of this, he still doesn't care about that because he still wants her affection no matter what. But he's realizing what he did was a terrible thing to do, and he's a shitty person. And that's why he's constantly sweating throughout this entire film. Uh,
You did have a problem with this. What did you say after we got out of the theater? You're like, why was that guy sweating the whole time? Why
like
was he
even
so
in the diner
greasy?
scene, like he just looks so greasy. But I guess that's like the point. He's supposed to be like a greasy kind of slimeball guy. Like he took advantage of this person because he just was so he's the obsessed one. Like he's obsessed with her. And
Wow. Say that again.
and
Say that again for our listeners that probably still are hyper focused on Bear being the victim in this whole movie.
Bear is the obsessed one. It's literally in that first scene. He's obsessed with a person that just sees him as a friend. He's obsessed. And
Exactly.
his obsession became a problem and it bit him in the ass, I guess.
Yeah, there is some fun things to talk about with Bear. I know that the performance isn't, you know, it's there. What I wanted to hit on with Bear is that this guy obviously knows, you know how people can get a good read on the exact kind of person like they are like in the friend group. You know, there's like an outspoken friend or like there's a an honest friend that's like always going to be blunt with you and tell you exactly how it is. So you
hmm
better not tell them like the thing that like you're afraid to tell them or something like that. Bear knows that he is the nice guy and he amplifies on that. He basically kind of teases Nikki out in this phone call to be like, "Oh, I don't know if I want to go tonight. I have something to do." And she like literally is like trying to hype him up and convince him to come because she's like, I want to tell you something. And he's like, well, what? And it ends up that she doesn't want to be working at that store. It seemed to me like she was wanting to get out of that circle of friends so that she could kind of be like her own person. She wanted to write. She was wanting to get out of the routine that she made for herself. That's what it was like to me. The one thing that I wanted to hit on with Bear was that yeah, like he knows that he has this nice guy mentality or this aura around him that kind of maybe he can get away with some like weird comments or you know
hmm
just being like a cringy guy. But the scariest thing about this film is how Bear actively chooses to not learn any of the lessons from like his actions, and
hmm
he completely takes over her entire autonomy. He completely takes over. It's just weird seeing this guy who like really wanted this being disgusted by her fluids and like how she shows her
hmm
love and how she proves that he learns nothing. I mean, he proves like he learns nothing by that line that everybody like is going crazy about right now. Like, what's so wrong about being with me? He's showing the audience that like this is not a good guy. This is not a
Yeah.
good guy.
He's
You're
showing
not
his
supposed to root for
obsession.
him.
Yeah.
Yes, he is controlling her and he tells her not to be weird, even though he
hmm
knows Nikki is not behind the wheel. That for me is like the scariest part is that he like takes advantage of it. I know that there's a lot of depictions out there of like a certain scene, and I'm not going to say that word on here. We're going to keep this pretty. You know exactly what I'm talking about if you've seen this movie. It felt like that for me too, and I don't see Bear as a good guy, and I don't get anybody that could see him as a victim in this. That's just my
hmm
personal view on it. That's all I wanted to hit on with Bear.
Yeah, I think we kind of nailed Bear. Like, yeah, if you're listening, Bear is the one that is obsessed, and he is the villain. He is
He's
the
a
villain. That's
bitch.
he's a bitch. But yeah, and then obviously Nikki is she's the core. She's the performance that drives the film. She's doing everything, and yeah, like people are like, this should be Oscar nominated, and maybe it should, but I mean, Oscars don't really care about horror films. Besides, I mean, besides Amy Madigan winning for Weapons, it's about it. But I guess it begs the question that I've been asking, like, does this entire film lean on the performance of Indy? Like, does it lean on the entire performance of her? Like, I think it does.
I love that that was your entire thesis with wanting to come to this episode. And we can answer it right here and then get into all of the other things about this film in
hmm
the second half of this. Is that, yeah, there is truly one performance that really seals off this film with a kiss, and it's going to perform the way it is because of this exact performance. And
hmm
all of her portrayal of emotions are 100% believable, and that's why this film is going to soar from that. So to answer your question, yeah, I would say that this film heavily does lean on this one performance, and without it, you don't have a film, and that is Indy Never Ready. My question for you before we start digging deep into Nikki is I know you and I know how you feel about actors and emerging talent and someone has something special when you see them. Did you feel protective of Indy Navarrete or her character Nikki after your viewing of Obsession? Because I've heard you talk about her. I don't want to say this like in the wrong way and like kind of like get our listeners to be like, oh, Pat's kind of weird or something like that. But you kind of had like a dad mentality coming out of the film whenever it came to talking about Nikki or Indy Navarrete.
I think it's just like more like when I'm watching it, she's incredible in this. And
Mm-hmm.
I think once I realized what was happening, that's when I said to myself, I was like, this movie is solely relying on the performance of her, of Indy, like of what she's doing. It's a thing where you hope that people watching the film will not, after watching it, then typecast her to play like characters like this all of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it's like, yeah, you want to protect the space of her to be like, hey, like it's like weird to say, like people are gonna be fucking weird about how obsessed they are with your performance in this.
Mm-hmm.
And they're gonna
Yeah.
be very obsessed with it. And for her moving forward, your entire career could be defined by this film. And that's why I think her moving forward probably should do non-horror stuff to show that she can do other things. Because if she just does horror, it's like, okay, well, they're going to typecast her in the same role. And it's definitely going to happen. Like with her agent, she's going to get scripts that are the same thing, like scripts of
Mm-hmm.
her like being the same type of character, which obviously
Mm-hmm.
she nails. But when it comes to like her progressing as an actor, you want to see more depth of characters in other genres as opposed to just playing the same horror character.
So yes, you are her father.
I am her father. Yes. I'll be her agent. I'm her agent and manager.
What I see is you love movies and you know a lot about the career duration and the continuance of a career after a debut. You've seen it over and over again. You love classic film, you love modern film. That's your bag, is basically what I'm saying. And I can see everything that you are saying about Indy Navarrete potentially being typecast after doing such an amazing performance like this. And I have to agree with you. I think that the internet is really dumb in being in the comments and being like, she's our new final girl. This is the final girl, final girl, final
Yeah.
girl. Like all she can do now is horror movies. Like that's our girl. Like that. Like, this is a great performance. It would be awesome if she did more horror films. But at the end of the day, you guys are just acting like Bear and telling her what
Yep.
she can do and what she can't do. And Indy Navarrete can go and do whatever the fuck she wants after this movie.
Hmm.
It's up to you as a fan to not be like, nope, you can only do this. You can do only do horror. If she wants to go do a drama, you got to go support her in the drama. It's this culture that I'm wanting to start to poke out at. And the rest of this podcast, so if you are wanting to talk more about the film and everything like that, of course, stay tuned and keep listening. But this is kind of where some of the commentary will start to bleed in that we feel personally about the industry and about the film and about marketing. It's kind of like a moment where both of us kind of like look at each other, put our business hats on, and we're like, let's start actually working.
Hmm.
But to kind of like wrap up Indy Navarrete in this performance, I mean, I don't know if it's Curry Barker that writes this material for Indy Navarrete to perform it, but I gotta say, I mean, this is a more fleshed out character and it's a female performance. This is a better character than anything in a Christopher Nolan movie. I'm just gonna say it. I'm sorry. I gotta drop the bomb and say it, man. I gotta say it. I gotta give the people something to be mad at me for. This film has a better female role in it than any Christopher Nolan female role. I'm sorry. It does. It does.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I'm sorry,
But
it does.
yeah,
So,
no, you're
you
not
know,
wrong.
trying to be fun in it, but I guess for me as well, and this is where we kind of get into like the social commentary of it as well. Whenever I was watching Nikki go through everything that she was going through, I started to see that this film wasn't really ever about Bear. It was about Nikki being stuck in a situation where she didn't want to be in. I mean, if she took that Ian guy seriously, they would have been a couple. That Ian guy was just a
Hmm.
jealous asshole. And he probably should have told Bear from the beginning of having that whole conversation in the fucking diner that, hey,
Hmm.
like, we've smashed a couple times, just FYI. Like, so that's going to be really awkward if you decide to go through with this. He's an asshole to his friend. He doesn't give him the heads up. And then with Sarah, she waits until right up until the very moment that she gets her acceptance letter to like finally tell bear what's really been going on. So there's a lot of dishonesty in this group. It's toxic. There's
Hmm.
nothing good going on here. Nikki was probably trying to get out of that.
Yeah.
So, on top of that, you got this layer of now this magical one wish willow placing this, I would say, this air quote scary part of obsession. It's like this newborn entity that is just like learning to like be around in the world for the first time. Like it fumbles a couple times. It says it has a dead cat. Oh, I mean, you're a dead cat. And then it lies about like her dad having cancer and he doesn't have cancer.
Yeah.
It's a very messy demon, and I thought that was pretty, it was okay, I
Hmm.
guess, like it's pretty cool. The rest of it though, nothing to deal with Nikki's performance. This is more of just like an editing thing and like how horror films are edited. I will be nice in just leaving it at that. It did feel like a haunted house in some parts of the movie. That's
Hmm.
all I'll say. Nothing about the
Hmm.
performances.
When you really break down the film overall, it's very, I don't want to say surface level, but it's nothing groundbreaking what is happening.
Mm.
And I think that's where my gripe with it is that it leans on one performance alone, which is a fantastic performance. But if you strip that performance away, what is really here? Someone just obsessed with somebody. Not much else that's happening. He's obsessed with her. He made her obsessed with him. And again, like people would just say it's like, oh, the way men treat women, which is, yeah, it's men treat women horribly. But at the same time, you're still relying solely any type of like positive things I've seen from this film. I just see Indy's face. I don't see anyone else's face. I see her face because she is the film. That performance is the film. If you don't have
That's a
that,
good point.
if you don't have that, your film is it's a solid film overall, but if you don't have that, then will people be talking about it as much as they are?
That's a good point. Everything that you are saying in response to me, it's kind of flipping over the belly of like your thesis of that this relies all on one performance. And I love that. I
Mm,
love that you're kind of proving in real time as I'm talking about this movie. This is the truth. This isn't something that like, oh, like we're on our podcast that we do every week, like talking about this. Like we analyze this stuff. And it's
mm,
important to us too, because there is this surge of energy going on around this film and in the industry right now. It's not just this film. All of this happening at the same time is just fucking insane. All of this energy around Curry Barker, Kane Parsons, and everything going on in the industry right now, all happening at the same time, has been fucking insane to witness. And I know that we
mm,
aren't the only people. I know that this is happening at a more rapid rate than I think any of us can realize. And you're the only person I talk about it with, but I know other people out there are as concerned as we are. I just know it. I know
mm,
it.
mm,
Just to seal off what we thought about Indy Navarrette's performance as Nikki, this is the film. That's your
mm,
film right there. Indy
mm,
Navarrette's performance as Nikki is your film. If you are seeing people go absolutely fucking bonkers for this, just point that out, that
mm,
that is exactly why they are going bonkers for this, because of that
mm.
performance. Everything else just falls off like, I don't know, like hot butter on a pancake.
But I guess it begs the question that like, does the internet hype up things too much? Is that where we're at?
I mean, you already know how I feel about the internet. Maybe people listening to this podcast
Yeah.
don't. Does the internet hype? I'm trying to think about what exactly you're asking here. Did the internet hype this up too much, is what you're asking.
Mm. Yeah. Which I feel like from my perspective of film, I guess it's not even criticism online. It's just like people talking about film online. They tend to just pick one movie that is coming out and they become obsessed with it. They will go into the movie thinking that it is the greatest film ever made. And hey, I don't know. There could be a movie that comes out in June or July or August. That could be the greatest film ever. I don't fucking know. There it could be. I don't know. But I think once people hear initial reactions to things and them talking about, again, the initial reaction to this film was based off of a performance. Wasn't based off the film overall. It was based off of the performance in the film. So therefore, people's mindsets going into the film is, oh my God, I've heard nothing but amazing things about this. Therefore, I have to like it. Like, there's no way I'm not going to like this. It's going to be an instant 5 out of 5. As soon as the movie ends, I'm getting a 5 out of 5 because I just know I'm going to love it. And I feel like that's where film has gone now, as opposed to just people watching something not based off of, hey, the entire internet told me this movie is amazing. If I don't like it, I guess I'm the dumb one, is kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, you're preaching to the choir here. This is something that I've said from day one. I feel like this is kind of like the beginning of like our friendship is I feel like I shattered your mind in a little bit of a way because I was telling you how inclusive, the social media part of being a film lover is right now. And I see that it's
Hmm.
not changing. It doesn't really matter what platform. These guys seem to have a very solid grasp on the cool kid pool of the
Hmm.
I've been watching a lot of cruise videos lately and there's different pools on like the deck. They're definitely in the cool
Hmm.
kid pool and the commentary podcast is somewhere by the minibar and like the little 6-inch pool that nobody
Hmm.
sits in. That's us over there. Trying to be a little funny because I feel like what we are about to talk about is something that not a lot of creators out there want to just because of studio being in their bank account or maybe their friends or it would be too much of a bold thing to do in front of their friends, but both of us feel safe enough with each other that we feel confident having this conversation, and it is just time to just say out loud and quit wasting time that the internet does hype shit up too much. And honestly, I don't really care whether or not somebody on Letterboxd or my social media thinks a film is good. I'm gonna go see that film and decide whether or not that film is good for my own. And
Hmm.
I'm going to go to bed the same way that I did whether or not I cared.
Hmm.
And I don't mean to say that in such a negative way, but right now, with how things are, I have to defend myself in the sense of like anybody can go to the fucking store and pick up a Blu-ray. Anybody can go to the movies and get a movie ticket and go see a movie. Anybody
Hmm.
can. Just because you have a letterbox account, just because you are on social media, I love movies, I love movies, I love movies, does not make you the most certified 100% most amazing movie lover in the world. There is somebody out there that goes to a movie virtually every single week and does not post about it.
Hmm.
Oh my God, somebody's brain just exploded. You don't post about movies? Holy shit.
Hmm.
No, I'm just trying to offer up. There is so much more going on here than what is being told that is going on here right now.
Hmm.
And for me, saying exactly how I feel about all this stuff, which is just like, I'm probably holding this podcast back, deciding not to do short form. And you have as well decided not to do that as well. Both the active choice that we make. But I don't
Hmm.
care. I don't want to do that. I think that stuff is really, really trendy and it's not going to last. I give it a fucking year. I do. I give it a year because there will be something else going on that these influencers are going to be asked to go talk about and lap up. This
Hmm.
format will survive the current trend of influencers who are demanding the same respect as a journalist critic that major studios are paying money. These studios are paying
Hmm.
influencers money to review films positively because it's a direct stick in the vein of everybody's algorithm. What do we always say? We're trying to get into the algorithm. We're trying to get into the algorithm. Well, we're long form content. That short form content is literally being paid for right now. That's why we can't
Hmm.
break. And Hollywood is telling you, listener, I'm talking to you. Hollywood is telling you that it cares more about what influencers have to say about cinema than critics, than us. And that's not an opinion. I'm telling you the truth. This is something I've been saying on this podcast about the industry only working for some, not all, since the very beginning of film news. I've been saying this, guys. People buying movie tickets are starting to pick up on it. So, to answer
Hmm.
your question in a long winded way, yes, the internet does hype shit up too much. How I learned about this film was from a podcast. They watched it at South by Southwest. And I was like, cool, I'll put it on my radar, put it on my watch list. I watched
Hmm.
it. Awesome. 3.5 stars on Letterboxd.
Hmm.
But the internet is telling me if I don't rate this 5 stars on Letterboxd, I'm a sexist, misogynistic asshole who has no
Hmm.
taste in movies. You don't have any taste. Oh, you rated Free Willy 5 stars on Letterboxd? You have no fucking taste. That's exactly what is on the internet right now, waiting for you.
Hmm. You're not wrong because I've always said that the internet, especially the film community, I would say about 80% of them do not watch anything made before. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt of the year before 2000. Curry Barker said that like one of his most influential films was The Invisible Man from 2021. I mean, why don't we talk about The Invisible Man from the 40s? That's a very influential film because you wouldn't have The Invisible Man from, or I guess it was, is it 2021 or 2020? I think it was 2020.
I think
But
so. He did say it was underrated. Yeah, I mean
yeah,
these are all good points. These are all good points. You know what? I probably lost somebody there, but that's
I'm sure I
okay.
did too. I'm sure I did too.
That no, that's I mean, this is all okay because this is the current state of the industry right now. And like
Mm,
I mean, we always talk about how this is happening so fast. I mean, I'll give you some space to talk about this stuff too because I don't want this to be just something that like I'm like airing out like how I feel about the
mm,
industry. I definitely want to give you that space as well because while we are talking about obsession, we're talking about how this marketing strategy that Blumhouse and Focus Features decided to put on, it literally suffocated the necks of every person that has liked a movie post on social media. It literally
mm.
suffocated us for a good solid 2 weeks.
It's
And I
it's
just have to
all
point that
it's
out.
all I've seen. It's all I've seen too. And I think I saw someone say, I think when the final box, I think it made like 16 million this past weekend off of like, I think I forgot the budget was like 175 or something thousand or like
Mhm.
775,000. And this has got to be the most successful film of all time. And I'm like, it's really not that hard to like look this information up. Like it's really not that hard. I mean, I guess to be fair for Blumhouse, like I think Paranormal Activity was made for $15,000. And then again, the budget isn't the marketing budget. Marketing budgets are very high. They're different from the actual budget for the film. So, like if say you take Paranormal Activity, it was made for $15,000. They had a marketing budget of $200,000. So the budget overall was $215,000. But sometimes they don't add that marketing budget in. Paranormal Activity made $194 million worldwide on a $15,000 production budget. I think that is more successful than Obsession. But I think my argument for that is it shows that people aren't interested in what came before. They're interested in what they're watching now, and they think that this is the only thing that's happening now. And if someone says, "Well, you should go watch this film from 20 years ago," they'll be like, "I don't care about 20 years ago. This is now, and this is the greatest film ever made." I think my problem with the marketing overall was how it was hyped up to be this is the greatest film of the year by far. It's only May. And how like this is by far the best directorial debut of all time. And to me, it's like, I mean, yeah, I've seen a lot of movies. I have a lot of them behind me. There's a lot of directors from earlier in history that have probably are made a better film for the first film overall than Obsession. And this is technically not even his first film. Like he made another small indie film, so I guess it's like his debut to a wider audience is what they're kind of saying. But I think just the internet, yeah, I mean it's great marketing. The marketing worked because everyone bought into it and loved it. So you could say that, yeah, you guys did it very well. But I think sometimes you need to also take a step back to realize that like the internet obviously can influence everyone's perception of what a film is supposed to be. And I'll even say it for like the Odyssey coming up. I'm sure there's people are already rating it 5 stars. Doesn't matter. It's 5 stars. Odyssey's fucking awesome. Saw it in IMAX. Fucking so sick. 75 stars. And there's the opposite of that too. It's like they've already made their decision to what they're seeing. And if you disagree with it, like you said, you're labeled as like dumb or you don't know what you're talking about. And it's like, oh, I guess I don't really know what I'm talking about. And then you mentioned a movie from 40 years ago they'd never heard of. And I'm like, oh, I guess I don't know what I'm talking about that this movie rips off of or something.
My best conversation about film with somebody came from this interaction that I had with this guy that lives in Canada. And it was just like this big group setting, but we just randomly were vibing off of Josie and the Pussycats, and like everybody else, like in the group, was just like, "Oh, like that movie's so fucking dumb," and I was like, "No, it's not. It's amazing, and I don't give a fuck what
Mm,
anybody says. I love it," and that's like so nostalgic.
mm,
And this like random guy in the group was like, "Oh my God, me too!" Like this specific sequence, like where it's like in slow mo and everything. We have completely lost that. That is
mm,
not possible anymore. That is not something that is happening online. And you might have somebody that disagrees with me, and I'm like, all right, cool. Do it outside of your group. That you only talk to movies with these people about because you are the smartest person in that group. Go try to find that outside of your group, and you won't. Because every single comment that you see online that is an opposing opinion or a different opinion is like making fun of the person's appearance, making fun of the person's letterbox, what they're rating films online. just trying to be as nasty as possible. I'm
Mm-hmm.
over this shit. I'm over it. This all circles back to obsession, guys. This all circles back to obsessions. I'm about to blow Pat's mind right now.
Oh
What
yeah.
I see, what my perception of the industry and what the industry has these social media gooners doing right now for the industry, trying to keep it alive, trying to keep this old system that does not work for all, it just works for some. I see the industry as bare.
Mm-hmm.
The industry is bare. Oh, we're nice. We're so inclusive. We're the nice person. We just want everybody to be happy. I'm good. I'm good. Trust me, I'm good. And social media is the one wish willow.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Mm-hmm.
industry is using the one wish willow and snapping that shit for every single movie, just like Obsession. And where does the obsession come? From the people who stay on social media 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
Let that be your fucking clip promo for this episode. The industry is bare. The social media is a one wish willow. And the fans that get taken over, you guys are the victim in all this. You guys are Nikki. You don't see that because social media tells you what's cool. Social media
Mm-hmm.
tells you, hey, this film is the best fucking film of all time. Hey, this film is fucking 5 stars on Letterbox. Here's a Letterbox review saying that it's fucking 5 stars. That's the only way to rate this film. It doesn't allow for conversation. It doesn't allow for people to have opposing opinions. If you have an opposing opinion, you're stupid.
Yeah.
That sounds a lot like a history that we should not probably repeat.
Like, look, Letterboxd has given people like an outlet that they've never had before to find films, which is awesome. And they make lists and they find films from the 30s and 40s they never heard of, they've never even seen, and they watch them. Like someone's probably never seen Casablanca, and they'll put it on tonight, and they're like, "Wow, that was amazing." There's a reason why it's considered one of the greatest films ever made. But I think also when you have those social media apps like that that kind of dominate the conversation and oh, I have 30,000 followers on Letterboxd, therefore my film opinion is the only film opinion that is correct. To say, I don't know, some 75-year-old woman living in Montana that has watched Turner Classic Movies for 30 years, that has probably seen more films than that person, yet she doesn't log them on Letterboxd. She just knows all of them because she just watches them all day. But her opinion, I guess it doesn't matter because it's not online. So the film conversation has delved into who can be the loudest voice in the room, whether you're right or wrong. And that's just not who we are. I don't care if you have the loudest voice in the room. If you don't know what you're talking about, then I don't really care.
I'll tell you what's currently going on with the industry and social media and how, I mean, honestly, Hollywood is just like bending over and taking it at this point,
Hmm.
and it's very much that kind of energy, and it's sad to see something that you have grown up with your whole life just fall victim to being part of trends as well. Would have thought that this distinguished place would have a lot more integrity than that. I will say that the one thing that all of this stuff happening in the world right now, I say in the world, but it's just like with film and everything. It makes me grateful to just always know that I can come out of a movie with you and be like, I didn't like that. And you'd be
Hmm.
like, hey, you didn't like that. That's cool. I still care about you. Or
Hmm. Yeah.
and vice versa. And you wanting to show me a movie that you're really excited about and that I've never experienced, but I watch it and you don't give a fuck what I rated on Letterboxd. You care that I watched it and that I enjoyed it. And
Hmm.
then I show you something from my childhood or whatever that I want you to watch. And we just vibe. And that's like what I think both of us are trying to point out is that there's no longer places like that online anymore. We're not allowed to have a different opinion than what the elite or what the high council on Letterboxd says. I should have been able to just like walk away from this movie, and I make a joke about this in the promo as well, was that why do I feel so compelled to have to rate this movie 5 stars on Letterboxd if I
Hmm.
just thought it was mildly okay?
Hmm.
Because I'm not rating a performance. I'm not rating one part of the film. I'm rating the film. And like if that's different from like what the majority of social media has to say about it, why am I a fuck ass loser who doesn't have good taste in movies? Like that's
Mm,
just really weird to go that far with it, to go that deep. And this new generation is very impressionable. Just the way that they attack like that. I mean, I don't know. I'm not seeing a good direction with it.
hmm No, I agree. I feel like it's slowly going down a path of if you're not on Letterboxd, do you watch movies? Like, yeah, people watch movies that aren't on Letterboxd. And they watch them probably the same amount as you do, and they just don't log them. They're like, whatever, I like that movie. That's fine. I own it. That's fine. I think the conversation with film has gone to who can watch this the fastest and who can log it the first. And if you're the first one that logs it, therefore you're the cool person in the room. And I don't care. Like if you watched the movie before me, don't care. Maybe I'll watch that movie in 5 years for all I know. This influencer film culture has dominated the conversation. And if you're not in that conversation, if you're not part of the influencer culture, then I guess you don't have an opinion about movies. They think you don't have an opinion. So, but that's just not true. Anyone can have an opinion on movies. You're allowed to like movies that other people don't like, and you're allowed to dislike movies that people do like. That's the whole thing. Like you could watch a movie and be like, I didn't care for it. It wasn't my cup of tea. Once something gets very popular, and there will be the thing in 5 months when someone says, "Has it been long enough to say that Obsession is overrated?" Someone will say that. I mean, that's just how the internet works. It's a cycle. But people are allowed to like things. People are allowed to dislike things, and people watch movies that aren't on social media. They have a vast majority film collection, but they don't have social media. Therefore, in their minds, they don't exist, but they do exist, and they watch a lot of movies. And I'm sure they have a vast knowledge of film. And that's all I have to say about that.
I'll leave you with a little cute story. It's been a while, and I know that both of us have different stuff going on at all times, and we don't always hang out or whatever. So this is all amazing, but I'll give you a little glimpse of hope for upcoming generations. So I went to my niece's 17th birthday party.
Hmm
Happy birthday and everything like that. But okay, so I have a 17-year-old niece. She is way more better than me and greater than me and sillier and funnier than me. If anybody like personally knows me that's listening right now, she's better than me in everything.
hmm
But we hung out for her birthday at her birthday party. So all of this stuff's going on in the kitchen. It's like big Mexican like birthday party, all the family's there.
hmm
And she's just hanging out on the couch with me. And I was like, "Do you want to watch a movie?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "What do you want to watch?" She was like, "You pick. I trust you." What did I go for? Tony, who loves movies, who's on a commentary podcast, I showed her Primate, and she thought it was a
Oh yeah.
fucking banger. I
Hell yeah.
did. I showed her. She was like, "That's not real, is it?" She was kind of picking up on some of like the practical
Mm,
elements, and then so I started asking her about some things. I was like, "Have you ever heard about like Letterboxd?" And she was like, "No, what's that?" And I was telling her
mm,
about it, and I showed her, and she was like, "So it's like a diary?" And I was like, "Yeah,
mm,
it's like a diary. I've never thought about it like that. It is like a diary." And I was like, "I have mine to log stuff I watch with like." People or whatever. She didn't know what that was. I asked her if like she like sees stuff about movies on her timeline or anything like that, and she was like, honestly, she's like, I do, but like I don't care. And if like there's comments
mm.
like underneath, she was like, I know that that's just like ugly mean people.
Yeah, there you
So
go.
I was like, yes. I was like, the algorithm has not impacted my sweet little niece, but I guess for me, just leaving away this conversation from, influencer culture and the internet and then like it influencing our thoughts about obsession. I mean, for me, no, because I have that strength in me to not give in. But I
hmm
feel like there's a lot of people out there that probably look around their friend circle or what their social media is like and really have to consider what they rate a film, honestly, before
hmm
they hit post or submit.
And they could be embarrassed to be like, I actually really like that a lot, but they don't want to be the person that's like, I can't give it 5 stars because then people are gonna say like, why would you? Yeah, I think you should do whatever the hell you want to do. Do whatever the hell you want to do.
Exactly. Do whatever
Do
the
whatever the
hell
hell
you
you
want
want
to
to do.
do. Be yourself. Yeah, don't be a asshole like Bear. Think that you can control people.
Yeah, I think it's perfect. Don't be an asshole like Bear and try to control people, and there will be consequences for that. There will be consequences for
Yeah, the commentary podcast will do a long form content episode
that.
over how you suck as a human being.
Mm,
That was probably like another thing I wanted to end our episode with is that there's a bunch of shit right now that is just coming out about short form content is where everything's at, evolve or
mm,
die. kind of thing. That's the energy that I get. For me, I mean, I just already said what I was gonna say about all of it, but nah, I'm riding this shit out. I know
Mm,
that this is what really matters. This is where the conversation is at. If these studios and these box office analysis people really gave a shit about what's going on in their theaters and what was really going on, this is a place to be. Not
mm.
that small ass 2 minute video doing a 90-second breakdown of the Odyssey.
Yeah, I think like as we wrap up this conversation, like it's like, hey, I mean, I enjoyed aspects of Obsession. There's stuff that's good in there, and I think like the other aspect of it too is we just feel that a lot of what's happening is because of online discussion and not actually about the film. It's just, hey, if you don't like this movie, then you don't understand horror. It's like that's not how that works. That's just not how that works. So
It's not. It's not. Yeah, I mean,
it's
he's
not, and
completely right. It's not.
I think I'll just leave it as people are allowed to like whatever they want. They're allowed to dislike whatever they want. Just because someone rates something 3 stars on Letterbox instead of five doesn't make them dumb. And I think that's just kind of where the conversation goes to, oh, this person gave this less than 5 stars. They don't know what they're talking about with horror. It's like, yeah, maybe you don't know what you're talking about with horror.
Maybe you actually just don't like
Yeah.
movies.
Hmm.
So, with this being an obsession episode, now that we've discussed the film, now that we've talked about how we made it to the film and everything, any final thoughts and what would you say is your overall conclusion?
Yeah. No, I mean,
Conclusive thoughts?
I'd give it like a 3.5 out of 5. Like it's a solid film. It's good, has good moments. I personally think it relies solely on a performance alone, and if you didn't have that performance, then the movie would not be rated as high as it is. But that's just my opinion. Everyone else could be like, I completely disagree with you. I think the film's great overall, and that's fine. But that's my opinion, and I think Indy carries the entire film solely on her back, and if you didn't have that, then again, I don't know what the film would look like, but I still enjoyed the film overall. I would give it 3.5 out of 5, but sometimes the internet just becomes obsessed with something and they hype it up. What any last thoughts for you? Any last thoughts for you?
Any last thoughts for me? This has been so fun, by the way. I can't wait
Mm.
to listen back to this. I'm just kind of talking to myself in the being very meta and talking to myself. Hi, me. Um, I guess my final thoughts would be that obviously Curry Barker is doing a lot of the things that I would aspire to do one day in a little bit of a way. And it's kind of scary because I'm like, oh shit, I'm getting old. This isn't gonna be like I have to like figure out like whether or not I can like see myself actually putting forward all the work to do that. What I'm saying is that Curry Barker has done something that a lot of people wish they could have under their belt already. The thing that pops out to me the most and the thing that I walk away from this film wanting to hold on to the most is Indy Navarrette's performance as Nikki.
Hmm.
So I feel the same way. It's going to be a 3.5 the same day that I walked out of the theater. And that is something that is still very much complimentary of this film. I don't need to explain that to anybody. I
Hmm.
just don't.
Hmm.
And I enjoyed myself. I had fun, but I can walk away from something that the internet is saying is the best thing in the world and be like, yeah, I'm so happy you feel that way and that you enjoyed that film. I had fun. It's a 3.5 for me. Indy Navarrette's the best part of it. And that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. That's it. I agree. That's it. And I think with that wraps up our discussion on obsession and I guess film culture overall, where film culture has gone. And if you're listening to this, thank you for listening. And I hope you enjoyed our conversation. And if you had the same thoughts and opinions on obsession, let us know. And if you thought we were completely wrong, then let us know that this film is incredible and why we were wrong. But hey, I mean, that's the whole point. You're allowed to think the movie's incredible. You're allowed to. You're allowed to think the movie's incredible. I don't care. That's totally up to you.
I will just say, shout out to one of my friends, a listener of the pod. He loves this film, and I love
Hmm.
hearing how much he loves this film because it makes me think about things differently. So yeah, it's not like I'm like not welcoming this conversation into like being had. Like
Hmm.
I want to know why you love a movie because we're talking about movies. Duh.
Yeah. We're
You
talking about
know,
movies.
it doesn't always have to go into like the well, you're a fuck ass, loser ass, son of a bitch ass, pussy ass, fucker ass. It's just time to grow up, guys. It's
Yeah,
time to grow
it's time to
up.
grow up. It's time to grow up. And I think with that, hey, Tony, go watch a fucking movie.
Hey, Pat, go watch a fucking movie.
This podcast is hosted and edited by Pat Brennan. That's me, with intro and closing music by Patrick Baxter.